They laughed straight in my face when I picked up that dirty broom. They thought my poverty meant I lacked intelligence. But working as a humble cleaner taught me a dark secret. A secret that would eventually bring down their entire empire. Listen closely to my story today. I remember my first night at the massive corporation. The building looked like a giant glass tower reaching into the dark sky. Inside, everything was clean, expensive, and completely heartless. My job was simple but exhausting. I had to scrub the floors, empty the trash cans, and wipe the dust from desks. The wealthy executives never looked me in the eyes. To them, I was completely invisible. I was just a ghost passing through their beautiful offices. Every night, I arrived at exactly 8 o'clock. The sun was usually setting, casting long, dark shadows across the marble lobby. I wore a faded blue uniform that felt too big for my small frame. My shoes were old and worn out from hours of walking. The building had 30 floors, and I was responsible for the very top one, the executive suite. That was where the most powerful people in the city made big decisions. They made millions of dollars every single day, while I struggled to buy regular groceries. One evening, a young manager named Richard walked past me. He was wearing a custom suit that cost more than my entire year's salary. He was talking loudly on his expensive smartphone, laughing with a friend. As he approached my cleaning cart, he deliberately dropped his coffee cup on the floor. He did it completely on purpose. Dark liquid splashed all over the clean tiles. It even stained the bottom of my trousers. He did not apologize. Instead, he stopped his conversation, looked at me, and laughed loudly. He told his friend on the phone that cleaners were born to serve people like him. He treated me like I was dirt beneath his feet. I did not say a single word. I swallowed my pride, dropped to my knees, and began to wipe up the mess. My hands were shaking with anger, but I needed this job to pay my rent. I had a little sister at home who depended on me. Richard watched me clean for a moment, enjoying his small display of power. Then, he turned around and walked into his large corner office. He forgot about me the very next second. They thought I was stupid just because I wore a faded blue uniform. They assumed that because I worked with my hands, my brain did not function. But they forgot one very important thing. A cleaner sees everything, hears everything, and goes into every single room after the lights go out. For months, I endured their insults. I listened to their arrogant remarks. I learned to become like a ghost in those long, carpeted hallways. I memorized their schedules, their habits, and their secrets. I knew which executives cheated on their taxes. I knew who was lying to the CEO. I knew who stayed late at night doing things they should not be doing. But I kept my mouth shut and focused on my work. Last Thursday, the top floor was completely empty by midnight. A massive storm was raging outside, and heavy rain pounded against the thick glass windows. The executives had rushed out of the building after a very long, stressful meeting. The air in the boardroom still smelled like expensive cigars, stale coffee, and collective panic. I could tell something major had happened during that meeting. The leather chairs were messy, and papers were scattered everywhere. I moved slowly around the long mahogany table, straightening the chairs and emptying the small waste baskets. I wiped down the glass surfaces, reflecting on my own life and how stuck I felt in this endless cycle of poverty. That is when I saw it. I approached the main trash can near the head of the table. A thick piece of paper was sticking out from a pile of shredded documents. It looked like someone had tried to destroy it in a hurry but missed the paper cutting machine completely. Normally, I just throw everything into my large plastic garbage bag without looking. I am paid to clean, not to spy. But something about the bright red stamp at the top of this page caught my attention. It said confidential, completely secret in bold, bleeding letters. I hesitated for a moment, listening to the sound of the rain outside. Then, curiosity took over. I pulled the paper out and wiped a bit of dust from the surface. As my eyes moved across the lines, my heart began to beat incredibly fast. My hands grew cold. The document contained a highly complex financial spreadsheet. Even though I was just a cleaner, I understood numbers. Before my family lost everything, I had studied accounting at a university. I knew exactly what I was looking at. The paper listed secret bank accounts in foreign countries. It showed fake financial numbers that did not match the company's public reports. The executives, including Richard and the vice president, were stealing millions of dollars from their own investors. It was a massive fraud scheme. They were systematically emptying the company's accounts. According to the notes on the margin, they were planning to close the company next month. They wanted to declare bankruptcy and run away with the money. This would leave thousands of regular employees completely jobless. Suddenly, the heavy glass doors at the end of the hallway clicked. I heard the sound of footsteps coming down the corridor. Someone was returning to the office at this late hour. My chest felt tight and my thoughts became messy. I knew my whole world would collapse and fall apart completely if I got caught with this paper. If they found out I knew their secret, they would destroy my life completely. I quickly folded the secret page and hid it deep inside my uniform pocket. It was hidden right beneath my cleaning cloth. My heart was pounding against my ribs like a trapped bird. I grabbed my broom and pretended to sweep the floor near the window. The boardroom door swung open and Richard walked in. He was soaking wet from the rain and his hair was messy. He looked stressed, angry, and completely desperate. He was looking around the table, searching for something. "Where is it?" he muttered to himself, ignoring me at first. He searched through the papers on the table, flipping them over aggressively. Then, his eyes locked onto the trash can and then onto me. "Still here, garbage girl," he sneered, walking toward me. "Did you empty the trash in this room yet?" I forced my voice to remain calm, though my knees were trembling. I looked down at the floor, acting as submissive and quiet as possible. "No, sir. I am just starting to clean this corner." He glanced at the trash can, then looked at my cleaning cart. He did not see the paper. He assumed I was too ignorant to understand anything even if I had looked at it. "Make sure this place is spotless by tomorrow morning," he said, his voice full of disgust. "And if you find any loose papers, you throw them away immediately. Do you understand me?" I nodded quietly, keeping my eyes on the floor until he finally turned around and left the room. I heard his heavy footsteps fade away down the hallway, followed by the sound of the elevator doors closing. I took a deep breath, releasing the air I had been holding in my lungs. My hands were still shaking, but a sudden warmth replaced the cold fear. They thought I was fragile and weak, but they were about to discover how dangerous a simple cleaner could be. The next morning, I did not go back to sleep after my shift. Instead, I took the confidential document directly to the headquarters of a major national newspaper. I met with a senior investigative reporter who had been trying to look into this corporation for years. When I showed him the document, his eyes went wide. He looked at me with newfound respect. He spent the next 3 hours verifying the numbers, realizing that this single piece of paper was the final puzzle piece he needed. Within 24 hours, the secret was out. The story broke on the front page of every major news website and television channel. The entire financial world was in absolute shock. The very next evening, during my usual shift hours, I did not wear my blue uniform. I stood outside the glass tower across the street, watching the chaos unfold. Flashing blue and red lights illuminated the dark glass building. Police sirens surrounded the corporate headquarters. Federal agents walked out of the front doors carrying boxes of confiscated files that they had officially seized. Behind them, the corrupt executives were led away in handcuffs. Richard was among them. His expensive suit was wrinkled, and his face looked completely terrified. He was totally consumed by fear as the police pushed him into the back of a patrol car. He looked completely broken, his arrogance entirely gone. As the police car pulled away from the curb, Richard looked out the window. He saw me standing on the sidewalk, holding my old jacket tightly. I gave him a calm, confident smile. He finally realized the truth. The person he laughed at, the person he thought lacked intelligence because of poverty, was the one who had destroyed his entire empire. True power was never about the money in your bank account. It was about doing what was right. Every story you listen to on this channel brings you one step closer to speaking English fluently, effortlessly, and confidently. If you want to master native English vocabulary and listening skills without memorizing boring grammar rules, click that subscribe button right now and turn on your notifications. Now, let's put your understanding to the test. Answer this question in the comments below using simple English. What would you do if you found a secret document at your job? Write your answer in the comments right now, and I will personally read and check your English grammar.